Well, yes, we've heard Donald Trump say it many times. China is ripping us off. But is that fair? Or is he and others just jealous of China's success? We're going to be looking at the movie and TV business with our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, in Paris, and André-Pierre Duplessis in Cape Town, our reporter there. But first, the social media contest, Weibo, a Chinese version of Twitter, is now just as valuable as its American rival. How did that happen? Here's Azar Sukri's report.
If you're in China and have something to say online, Weibo is likely to be the way you do it. The microblogging site was launched in 2009, 3 years after its American counterpart, Twitter. As two of the world's biggest social media sites, they share some key characteristics. Both used to have a strict 140-character limit, though these have recently been relaxed, and they make their money from advertising. But that's where the similarities end. So, this is Twitter on the left and Weibo on the right. They do, of course, look very different, mainly because Weibo is aimed almost exclusively at Chinese language speakers, and Twitter is mainly an English-based medium. But Weibo is now also far more successful as a company than Twitter is. Over the last 2 years, Twitter has lost about half of its market value. Meanwhile, Weibo's has nearly tripled over the same period, and Weibo made its first profit in 2013, while Twitter never has. One of the reasons for Weibo's success is that it has very little competition in China. Its growth in subscribers has slowed a little because of the rise of Tencent's WeChat service, which allows people to do many of the things that Facebook, Uber, PayPal, and even dating app Tinder can. But it's still growing, having added 70 million users over the last year. Twitter, on the other hand, has been losing users to a multitude of competitors at home and abroad. And it's been thwarted by China's tough censorship laws from competing head-on with Weibo. Twitter isn't alone in being frozen out on the wrong side of the Great Firewall of China. Alphabet's Google and Facebook are all banned there. For them, the big prize of China's 1.5 billion person market remains tantalizingly out of reach.
And Azar joins me here in the studio, tantalizingly out of reach. That's the point, isn't it, Azar? I mean, is this a one-way street with China? You know, they market themselves well in the West and elsewhere, but they don't really allow access the other way around?
It is, to a certain extent, some of that. You're absolutely right. Part of the other problem, of course, is that actually Chinese companies haven't quite figured out how to market themselves aggressively enough on platforms like Twitter and all that sort of stuff. But let's also remember that certain big Chinese companies have also been blocked. In the US, I'm specifically thinking of Huawei and ZTE, two big telecom equipment manufacturers. They were blocked in 2012 because of concerns that their equipment might open up back doors to, you know, all sorts of classified information. Exactly.
Okay.
But also, let's not forget that there are Western interests that have marketed themselves quite successfully on Weibo. People like Tom Cruise, for example, the NBA,
really?
They're on Weibo itself. So, look, if you're savvy enough, you know how to work this new emerging technology.
Tom Cruise knows Mandarin?
Yeah, well, okay. I'm sure his people do.
Exactly, exactly. All right, then, Azar, well, we'll stay with Hollywood, and China's richest man is spending billions on the US and Chinese movie industries. Our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, joins us now. Craig, tell us about Wang Jianlin and what is he up to now?
Wang is a former high-ranking official in the Chinese People Liberation Army. He is the chairman of Dalian Wanda Group, a state-controlled conglomerate. For the past year, he's been on an $8 billion long march in Hollywood to scoop up as many properties as possible, including the second largest theater chain in the United States, a film company called Legendary Films. They brought you Batman: The Dark Knight, and an American company called Dick Clark Production, named after Dick Clark, a Chinese company. Buying Dick Clark Productions is like the Chinese getting the title deed on Mount Rushmore. This is amazing. Now, as you said in the intro, he's telling everyone we're not invading. But there are a lot of people who believe that he is, including folks like Summer Redstone, a lot of the old Hollywood types, who don't like to see the Chinese coming in because they feel that there's a move going on by China, the Politburo, to control the U.S. entertainment industry.
And that's true not only of the sort of rival businessmen in the United States, but also of U.S. politicians, right, Craig?
Right. This is a growing problem. There's a congressman named Culberson from Texas who, along with others, and Culberson recently wrote a letter to the Justice Department that said, without updating FARA. Now, FARA is a 1938 act written to thwart Soviet and Nazi propaganda and spies in the U.S. Again, without updating FARA, the growing relationship between the two countries could allow Chinese state-controlled companies a significant degree of control over the financing and content of American media that raises serious concerns about how this may be used for propaganda purposes. It's a powerful letter, and Representative Culberson sits on a committee that doles out the money to the Justice Department. So these are just not idle words by a Republican congressman from Texas.
Okay, Craig, thank you very much.